22 million people are already inside a confirmed severe weather zone for Tuesday, and the storm this weekend hasn't even started yet. Tonight, 2 or 3 supercells between Oklahoma City and Amarillo could each have a tornado on the ground at the exact same time. And the thing that I'm most concerned about in this entire forecast, it is not tonight. And it is not even Friday. Stick with me and I'll show you exactly why. Let's get right into it. The Storm Prediction Center has an enhanced risk that's a 3 out of 5 sitting right now over Oklahoma and Texas, from east of Amarillo down through Woodward to Childress. Surrounding that core zone, a slight risk stretching all the way from Milwaukee down to Dallas, and a marginal risk fans out from Austin practically up to the Canadian border. The whole center of the country is on alert today. Storm chasers are already out on the roads right now. Supercells are firing between Oklahoma City and Amarillo as of this video, and this is not a later today situation. This is happening right now. 2 or 3 of those supercells could carry a tornado at the same time tonight. The rest of them, the ones not spinning up a tornado, are going to produce hail. And not little hail. We're talking golf ball to tennis ball size. Let me put tennis ball size in perspective real quick, because I want this to land. A tennis ball is 2.7 inches across. That chunk of ice falling from 30,000 feet will go straight through your windshield if you're in the threat zone tonight. Park your car in a garage, not the driveway, not the street, a garage. That hail is working across the Red River right toward the Altus, Oklahoma area. And by 10 or 11 p.m. tonight, those supercells start clustering into a squall line, and that is when the threat changes character in a way that trips a lot of people up. Here's what I mean by that. Once the squall line forms, the tornado conversation winds down, but the damage conversation is just getting started. Straight line winds in a squall line can hit 70-80 miles per hour. There's no funnel cloud to see coming. It just arrives. Oklahoma City, that squall line blows through your metro around midnight to 1 a.m. That is not the kind of storm you want to be caught sleeping through. Phone alerts on, loud, tonight. That is non-negotiable. And storms are firing all the way north toward Omaha tonight around 1 a.m. too, with heavy rain pushing up into Iowa, Missouri, Nebraska, and even portions of South Dakota and southern Minnesota. This is a wide, nasty system. Now, let's talk about Friday, because this is where it genuinely escalates. And I want you to have the full picture before I get to the part of this forecast that actually caught me off guard when I pulled up the models this morning. Friday's hot zone sits between Kansas City and Fort Smith, covering Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, and Kansas. Isolated supercells fire Friday afternoon, then grow into that squall line sweeping east through the evening. Those first Friday supercells, before they cluster up, are capable of producing EF2 tornadoes. There is a 10% hatch significant tornado probability over southern Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas. In forecaster language, that number means the atmosphere has everything it needs for long-track violent tornadoes. The highest concentration of that risk is focused between Springfield, Fort Smith, Muskogee, Fayetteville, and Bentonville. If you live anywhere in that corridor, Friday afternoon is your window to have your plan completely locked in. Not Friday evening, Friday afternoon. Tulsa, you're sitting right in the middle of this. Showers and thunderstorms are already going this morning, and the worst of it comes Friday afternoon and evening. Do you know exactly where you're going if a warning is issued lowest floor? Interior room, no windows. Decide now. Oklahoma City, 71 degrees this morning with storms already popping. Tonight is your midnight window. Then Friday brings another round. 2 separate threats in less than 24 hours. Keep those alerts running all night and all day tomorrow. Wichita. That brief shower activity this morning might make it feel like a quiet day. And that is exactly the mistake I don't want you to make. The storm corridor from tonight pushes right up through southern Kansas. Don't let a cold thermometer reading give you a false sense of security. Dallas and Fort Worth, you're warm and quiet in the low 80s right now. But here's your Friday heads up. 1 to 4 inches of rain is coming your way, and flash flooding is a real concern for the DFW area. That is a serious amount of water in a short window. If it's raining hard and you hit a flooded road, turn around. Don't drown. Little Rock, Fort Smith. Texarkana, you are directly in the Friday tornado corridor. One supercell after another is going to roll through your area, and each one brings a fresh threat. This also adds up to a significant flooding problem on top of the tornado risk. Lubbock, 76 degrees and south winds already cranking at 18 miles per hour. That wind is pumping Gulf moisture northward right now like a fire hose. Chance of thunderstorms on your radar today. Keep the weather app open. Columbus, Indianapolis, Louisville, all of you are seeing rain and thunderstorms this morning. Pittsburgh is reporting thunder too. The Ohio Valley is already cooking and Friday only turns up the heat. Know your shelter spot before you need it. Now, here is the part of this forecast I mentioned at the top, the part that genuinely made me look twice at the models this morning, because I think a lot of people are going to be caught completely flat-footed by Saturday. Most folks are going to be focused on Friday. And Friday absolutely deserves that attention, but Saturday morning. New convection fires back up across the south, and Saturday is quietly shaping up to potentially be just as dangerous as Friday, if not more so in some areas. Saturday morning into noon, fresh storms develop, more flash flooding pops up, and these storms carry their own tornado risk completely separate from Friday's system. This is not the tail end of Friday. This is a second act that most people won't see coming. Saturday has two separate slight risks, one up in Kentucky, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, with storms even pushing into Hamilton and Toronto up in Canada. That's a long way north for early March storm activity. The second Saturday slight risk covers the South Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, into Alabama. And Georgia catches a piece of it too. A marginal risk threads through all of Tennessee connecting the two zones. This thing is coast to coast on Saturday. Memphis, this is your heads up specifically. Saturday brings heavy rain, strong gusty winds, hail, and a conditional tornado threat. This is the day that's going to surprise people. Mark Saturday on your calendar right now, not just Friday. Nashville and Clarksville big-time storms roll through your area Saturday evening around 6 or 7 p.m. Have your plan ready Saturday afternoon. Not Saturday night when it's dark and you're scrambling. Saturday afternoon. Here's something I want you to sit with for a second, because this is the number that tells the whole story of why this pattern is so dangerous. Temperatures across the Midwest and Ohio Valley are running 30 to 40 degrees above normal right now. That is record territory for dozens of cities simultaneously. That record warmth is not just weird weather trivia. It is the fuel. The cold front is the spark. And the combination of those two things, record Gulf moisture slamming into an aggressive late winter cold front, is exactly why forecasters are treating this with the level of urgency they are. Columbus and Cleveland Saturday around noon. Storms push up the Ohio River Valley toward you by the time they reach Charleston, Morgantown, and Pittsburgh. Some could go severe. Severe thunderstorm warnings are looking likely for that whole corridor through Saturday afternoon. Prefrontal supercells. And this is the sneaky, dangerous part of Saturday are being modeled for Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana out ahead of the main line. Those develop in areas where people still think it's quiet. They are among the most dangerous storms precisely because nobody's expecting them yet. Here's a quick gut check question for everybody watching, and I want real answers in the comments. Are you more worried about tonight's tornado window or Saturday's second act setup? Comment tonight or Saturday. One word. I genuinely read every single one of those. Okay, so I know what you're probably thinking right now, rough weekend. I'll hunker down, get through it, and then it'll be over. And I completely understand that instinct. But I have to be straight with you, because that is not what the models are showing. Tuesday, March 10th. The Storm Prediction Center issued a rare day 6 severe weather warning, which almost never happens. A 15% probability zone is already confirmed for 22 million people covering Dallas, Austin, Fort Worth, and Oklahoma City. Let me put a Day 6 SPC outlook in context, because this matters. The SPC does not put out advance warnings casually. The fact that they are confident enough 6 days out to flag a specific zone with a 15% probability means the models are showing exceptional agreement on this setup. That is rare. Tuesday's threat zone runs from Topeka down through Austin, hitting Oklahoma City, Dallas, Fort Worth, and most of Missouri and Arkansas. These are the exact same cities that are getting hammered this weekend, and they get essentially zero recovery time before round 2 arrives. Both the European model and the American GFS model agree on this pattern. When both major models are lining up 6 days out, you take that seriously. This is a 1-2 punch aimed at the same corridor within the same week, and that kind of setup doesn't happen every year. Here's how Tuesday's setup develops a new low-pressure forms across the plains. The jet stream snaps back into a classic severe weather configuration, and Gulf moisture surges northward again, basically rinsing and repeating the exact same ingredients that are fueling this weekend's outbreak. And it does not wrap up Tuesday night. The threat shifts east Wednesday and Thursday as a dragging cold front works toward the Ohio Valley and eventually the eastern seaboard. Wednesday, March 11th, is being flagged as a potentially more significant cold front than Saturday, and that is saying something. By Wednesday, low pressure is expected near New York State, pulling that cold front eastward and lighting up severe weather threats from the deep south through the Midwest into the Ohio Valley. The eastern seaboard starts getting involved by Thursday, March 12th. Friday and Saturday, 30 to 40 degrees above normal. Upper 60s, 70s, and 80s showing up across the Midwest and Ohio Valley in early March. That is not spring-like. That is summer knocking on March's door. Then the first cold front rolls through Sunday and Monday, and temperatures drop, but only to about 10 to 15 degrees above normal. Still warmer than average. Let that sink in. After a cold front blows through, it still feels like spring. That is how far off the charts we currently are. Now, the forecasters are honest that 10-plus days out carries uncertainty. But when both major models are showing the same Arctic pattern at the same timing, that is meaningful signal, not noise. Winter is not done. It's just loading back up. And here's the real kicker for people hoping spring has arrived for good even after that Arctic blast around the 17th. The models show the pattern potentially warming back up from there. But a short-lived cold spring is what both models are currently suggesting rather than a clean, seasonal break. It's going to be a scrappy, back-and-forth March. Let me step back and give you the full 2-week timeline in plain English, because I know that's a lot of moving pieces to keep track of. Tonight, supercells and tornadoes across western and central Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle. Golf ball to tennis ball hail. Squall line with damaging winds hits Oklahoma City around midnight. Heavy rain reaches Iowa, Nebraska, and the Dakotas overnight. Friday, the main tornado event. The 10% significant tornado zone over southern Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas. Supercell after supercell rolling through Fort Smith, Fayetteville, Springfield. Flash flooding risk 1 to 4 inches for northeast Texas and Arkansas. Squall line with damaging winds sweeps east through the evening. Saturday, the second act that most people aren't ready for. New storms fire across Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana out ahead of the main line. Tornado threat returns. Nashville and Clarksville get hit around 6 to 7 p.m. Storms reach Columbus, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh by Saturday afternoon. Sunday into Monday, brief cool down. Relative quiet. This is your window charge, your phone, check your roof. Make sure your emergency kit is where you can actually find it. It does not stay quiet for long. Tuesday, March 10th, round 2. 22 million people in the confirmed risk zone, Oklahoma City, Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, Topeka, Springfield, Little Rock, all back in the crosshairs. SPC flagged this 6 days out. That almost never happens. Wednesday through Thursday, the system shifts east. Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, Eastern Seaboard all come into play. This is a much stronger cold front than Saturday's, and it drags severe weather risks further east than anything we've seen this week. March 13th through 14th Clipper system. Snow for the Midwest and Great Lakes. Northeast snowfall possible. Temperatures finally actually start to drop below normal in some areas. The warm pattern starts losing its grip. March 16th through 17th, the Arctic blast. Both models agree. Cold air pours back in hard across the east. Snow possible from the Great Lakes all the way down to the Mid-Atlantic and potentially the southeast. 2 weeks from right now, this might look like a completely different season. Now here is what I want you to actually do with all of this, not a checklist. Just 3 real things. Tonight specifically, get your weather alerts loud before you fall asleep. The midnight window for Oklahoma City and the surrounding area is real. It is dangerous, and most people will be asleep when it hits. For this whole weekend, identify your shelter spot right now while you're calm. First floor, interior room, away from every window, a bathroom, a hallway, a closet, Decide it now, so when a siren goes off at 11 p.m. on Friday, you already know exactly where your feet are taking you. And for the next 2 weeks, overall, stay connected to updates because this pattern is going to keep evolving. Tuesday's setup in particular is still coming into focus, and the difference between where that low pressure tracks could change everything about which cities are in the worst of it. One more question before I go and drop this in the comments for real. Which part of this 2-week pattern worries you most? Comment weekend, Tuesday, or Arctic. I'm going to use those answers to decide which one gets the deepest breakdown in the next update. And if you've got somebody, a parent, a sibling, a neighbor who lives in Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Fort Smith, Nashville, Memphis, or Little Rock, and might not be following this closely, do them a real solid and share this with them right now. Some of those folks may not have the information they need for this weekend. Here's the thing I always come back to, and I mean this, it only takes one storm. The statistics and the seasonal averages don't mean a single thing if one of these supercells rolls through your neighborhood tonight. What matters is whether you were ready or not. I'll be watching the overnight model runs closely, and if Tuesday's setup shifts in a significant way, I'll have a dedicated update as fast as I can put it together. That Tuesday picture is still changing, and the latest run moves something that you need to know about. I'll have that update ready within the next 24 hours. Stay tuned, stay ready, and please look out for your neighbors tonight. Take care out there, everybody.